What's up, everybody? It's Alex here with the Testimony Podcast, and I want to welcome y'all to episode 5. So we have a different take on things. We got an amazing person. We got Coach Tevin Orr, owner of Orrdinary Apparel. So I'm excited about this one. So Coach Orr, he coaches at a team that's close to us. I could have brought somebody on from Rivercrest, and please, y'all don't throw any flack at me, but I have to show respect that my wife teaches there. Same thing for the church. I can bring a lot of people from the church on, but I got to show respect that I do go to church there, and I don't want to feel like I'm just feeding off of the people around me. I want people to come in and share the stories that want to share. So it makes me happy to bring somebody like Coach Orr on who wants to share the story about why he does what he does. So we have people that come on that are recovering addicts. We have people that come on that are fighters. We have people that come on that are from every walk of life. And this is a different take on things. So he is somebody that does what he does because he loves it, not because he has to. He has his own brand. He does not have to coach at all, but he does it because he loves it. And that's why we want to Coach Orr on. We were extremely blessed to be able to collaborate with Coach Orr. So we are selling Christmas sweaters now. It doesn't have his design on it yet. Those are coming in within the next couple of weeks. But his design will be the snowman wearing his logo. So it will be a collab with the Testimony and Not Ordinary Apparel. So I'm super excited about this. And the best thing about it is all donations and all sales profit that comes in from these sweaters goes straight to the Osceola Athletic Department, primarily the men's high school basketball team. We want to take care of these kids, even if it goes to just paying for one meal for them before a game. We want to still donate to the people who are trying to grow the children around them, trying to grow the people around them, trying to help other people become responsible young adults. And that's what I see in the Osceola coaching staff. I love that. So I would love to help sew back into the people that are trying to help the people around them grow. So all donations, all profit from the sales of these Christmas sweaters are going straight to them. And I do want to clarify one thing. So after the beginning of the year, I think we're going to start transitioning this into a nonprofit. So I've been running this as a business. Tax time's coming up, so I get to learn the tax side of things. Now I think it's time to go ahead and turn this over. We have a lot of people that are wanting to help, but we're not a nonprofit yet. So if you start donating tons of money and it doesn't really have a place to go other than the places that we're sharing each week. So like last week we had an amazing story from a person who's going through a recovery program called Oxford House. So all donations go strictly to Oxford House. Same thing for this week. If you donate anything into this episode anytime after December 19th until January 1st, it all goes strictly to the Osceola Athletic Department. And that's what we want to help these people do. We want to help be able to grow these programs, help grow these places, help grow these athletic departments, help grow anybody that's trying to help the people around them grow. And we can't do that yet until we get enough sponsors, enough people that are willing to help donate. And I'm blessed to say that we have the footing for it now. We just got to get this thing turned over into a nonprofit. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for you guys to be a part of it because so far it just feels like it's growing rapidly. Y'all stay tuned for the Instagram, the TikTok. I want the TikToks and the reels and stuff that are on Instagram. I want the positive ones to be seen by people. I'm not a big fan of the controversial ones being shared more. I get it, it's clickbait and it gets more views, but I want people to see the stories that I feel matter the most. So somebody that's struggling, that came out of that, turned their life into something amazing. Somebody that thought they could not become what they are and became somebody that is amazing. Somebody who just had a dream and they took the steps toward that, and now their life is what they could never have imagined. That's what we want from this. But sharing the controversial stuff only grows eyes to the platform, not to share the light, but to share controversy, if that makes any sense. So I do have tons of clips. I'm going to post them all. I don't care how controversial they get. I still got to post them because they are amazing clips. But the ones I want y'all to help share, the ones I want y'all to promote are the ones that are going to bring light to people. So like Coach Orr's story is absolutely amazing. Tyler's story from last week, absolutely amazing. Ty King's story. I want you to see those episodes and take something from that you know can benefit you. And that's what we love about it. But I love you all. Y'all stay tuned. This week's episode is by far my most proud moment of anything I've helped produce or edit yet. Last week was fun and amazing to make. I got to have an amazing family time, but this week I got to sit down and film this the way that I want it to be filmed. No, we don't have all the fancy backdrops and everything that we could have one day, but right now I feel like we're making progress in the right direction. I love you all. Y'all stay tuned. My name is Alex, and welcome to
the testimony. I fell hard, but I'm not gone. Grace found me before the dawn. set me on my feet. Said, child, let's go. From the darkness, now I see love has won the victory. If you're listening, lean on me. This is my testimony. This is the testimony. The testimony.
Hello, my name is Tevin Orr. I'm originally from Osceola, Arkansas. I graduated in class of 2011, and I had the pleasure of going off to college in 2012, University of Arkansas at Little Rock, where I received my bachelor's. And I'm currently wrapping up my master's degree at the University of Arkansas at Monticello. So, I'm also a father of 3 kids. Harmony, which is 14, Tevin Orr Jr. is 8, and Corbin Orr, which is 4.
So Tevin, man, what was growing up like for you? What was your life like growing up, man?
Growing up in Osceola, it was everything. I did a lot of different things, but all in all, sports kind of just kept me grounded. I spent a ton of my time at the community center, which is the OPAR Center in Osceola. And had an opportunity to play all sports, with that being basketball, football, and also baseball. But it was a guy that was over the community center growing up, and his name was BJ McAfee. And when I say he helped me out a lot, he kept me in sports. If I wasn't signed up, he made a way to get me on the team. And, I played summer ball with baseball, basketball rolling around. I played all winter, and then football I would play all fall.
I didn't know you did all that, dude.
Yeah.
OPAR was my place
Yeah,
growing up.
yeah,
Like, I love baseball.
yeah.
It shaped me into
And
baseball.
see, I was a baseball guy until I got hit in the eye, and it just changed the love. Basketball became everything.
Didn't like pain.
Yeah, that was
Brother.
like the worst.
I've seen a guy get his face shattered. Like, he was playing first,
Yeah.
pulled his glove down, ruined his face.
Well, I was at the pitcher mound, and I didn't wear my hat that day, and Bud Jones threw the ball in from the outfield. He didn't go outfield short pitcher mound. He went outfield pitcher mound, and it landed right in my eye like a line drive.
Brother. We're talking about, you mean Bud?
Bud,
Yeah.
yes, rest in peace.
Rest in
Bud.
peace, man.
Yeah. Just like I said, my mom, single parent, she made everything possible. She worked multiple jobs to make sure we had what we wanted. I was big into like fashion, shoes, and things like that. So I think I made the job a lot harder because I was that kid that always wanted the newest Jordans, the newest jerseys, all of those different nuances. And she made it happen. But with her working so much, I kind of grew up in a very rural area, growing up over by my granddad's club, which is known as Vollie's. And I just saw a lot of different things growing up over there. So I was always intelligent in school, and I was just like, I got to change the narrative. I got to do something different, or I'm going to fall into this same trap and do some of the things that I just personally did not agree with. But like I said, I saw a lot of different things over there, and I learned a lot over there as well. Like I said, growing up on Quinn Street, going over there every day after school, we were safe. I can say we were safe. A lot went on over there, but we were very safe. Obviously, my granddad owned a lot of the land over there, but all in all, growing up in a single-parent home, it wasn't too bad. And I did have a stepfather in the house, so he did take a lot of the weight off of her. But all in all, her job was to make sure she protected us, and she did a great job of doing that. Like I said, my dad, he was there, but he lived in California, so when he would come in town, I would definitely spend time with him once he came in town. But as far as like an everyday lifestyle, it was pretty much my mom carrying the load of that.
Did you ever live in California any?
I never lived in California. I mean, I've been out there as a kid. I loved it. Now that I'm an adult, I try and go at least once every year or every other year just to kind of see my family there and just experience just the lifestyle of being in LA.
I like that, dude. I didn't know that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
You drive down there or you fly?
Well, as a kid, we drove and it was 29 hours. We were in a van and it was like 7 kids, 2 adults. So we were like crammed on top of each other. But when I say that was probably one of the best summers I ever had in my life, just being around my brothers that live in California, spend the whole entire summer with them, just hanging out with my dad, just kind of seeing a lot of the things that I see in myself. You know, being around a person like every day, you start to see a lot of your characteristics, especially if that's your parent. But I seen a lot of me and my dad while I was there, and it was like, man, this is different, but it's actually cool. My senior year, I found out I had a daughter on the way. And I was an undergraduate, getting ready to go out to college. I had a few opportunities. I wanted to go to U of A, and then knowing that I had a kid on the way, that kind of changed a lot of things. So it was kind of down to A State and UALR. Well, at the time, I was like, well, I don't want to be too far away from my daughter, so I'm gonna rule out UALR, in which my best friend and all of my other friends, they were all going to UALR on scholarship, but I personally chose not to apply to the scholarship because I'm like, I got to stay close to my daughter, so I'm gonna either do ANC or A State. And I was like, I don't want to be in Osceola, but at the same time, I know it's convenient to be here. So I had to make a very hard decision, and I decided to stay home my senior year of high school. Well, after my senior year of high school, and then I stayed here and went to ANC, which I had a promise scholarship to go for 2 years. But while I was here, I was working at Walmart, and I started there as a 10th grader in high school and worked up to my senior year. And at the time, they were still giving me hours as if I was a high school student. And I'm like, hey, I got a child on the way. I need, more hours, or I'm gonna have to find something that can help me to do such a thing. And I applied to AG, and went and worked at AG right after high school. And my mom told me, she was like, before you quit your job at Walmart, just see if you like AG. And I was like, I know I'm gonna like it because I'm gonna make more money. So I put in my 2-week notice at Walmart, went to AG, worked third shift. And I enjoyed it. I was in JITL 30 at the time, that was in the envelopes. And I enjoyed it. Like, it was cool. I get to go in at nighttime. I worked until it was time to go home. I was around a lot of older like workers, and I was like, okay, they're gonna take care of me. They're gonna show me the ropes. And I think I was over there for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. And then that Sunday I went in, they called all of the new employees in, and they was like, hey, a few of the machines are going down, so we're gonna have to transition you all to the sorters. And I was like, okay, but I had heard so many bad things about being in the sorter. So I was like, I don't know if I want to go to the sorter. So I went anyway. And when I got over there, I saw a lot of familiar faces. So I'm seeing people that I went to high school with and people that I see on the everyday, not such the older crowd of workers. So I'm like, okay, it may be cool, but I had to understand this is work. This is not a place that we come to play. So I started in the sorters, and the machines were rolling. I mean, rolling. And I'm seeing red lights flashing. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I don't know what I'm doing. So I ended up figuring it out. A couple weeks passed over, and then I got promoted to work in the C-Box production. And when I went over there, it was by myself. I was walking the lines by myself, so I got a lot of alone time. But you couldn't have music, you couldn't have anything. So, I would find myself singing to myself and just thinking, overthinking. I can't wait to get off. I'm gonna go see my daughter. But yeah, it was a challenge. I was doing that third shift, going to see my daughter once she woke up in the morning, and then I was also having to be at class like 2 of those days right after work. So it was a lot on my plate. And one day I got off from work and I just was in tears. Like I was like, this is a lot, man. I was like, I can't do this. This is just way too much. So I sent my mom a long, drawn out message, and she said, well, son, I didn't tell you you had to stay here. So if you want to go off to school, that's fine with me. We'll help you with your baby and, make sure everything is okay. So, she sent me that message and I applied to ULA. Talked with my best friend. He was constantly trying to get me to come, like, man, come to ULA, come to ULA. And I was like, let me see how it works. I don't want to be away from my child. So let me just see. So I applied to ULA, got accepted, and that following fall, I went off to ULA, and I just told myself, I prayed, and I just said, if I ever go back to Osceola, I got to be better than I was before I left. And I ended up going off, getting my degree, and I'm back here in Osceola here in 2025. That was in 2016. I went to ULA and I wanted to major in finance. But when I got there, it was like, okay, I got to figure out what I'm gonna do. So um, I've always had the love for basketball, but when I got there, they had intramural, and I didn't know much about intramural. I just was like, okay, cool. I get to play with my friends. I get to pick my own team, and so we did that. So we started with the 3-on-3 basketball, and this is in my freshman year, and we were playing against, I want to say Pike. Yes, it was Pike. And one possession, I ended up going in for a drive and my knee buckled. And I was like, this don't feel good. This ain't good. I was like, I'm done. I was able to get up and walk off on my own, but it hurt so bad. So I ended up going back to my dorm room, and the next morning I woke up, it was swollen so bad. I once again I called my mom, and she was like, find the nearest hospital and just go and see what's going on. So found out a couple weeks later, got an MRI, and I had partially tore my ACL. So I wasn't able to play anymore, and I still wanted to be there with the guys. And I had an opportunity to coach the intramural team. So I enjoyed it. There was this one team we could not beat for nothing, and it was the law school. We're talking about guys that have played collegiate basketball. They're going to ULA for their law degree, and they're just doing intramural. So these guys were the guys. And the game that I actually was able to coach, I was able to coach against law school. And I was like, okay, we actually did pretty good. Got our first opportunity to beat them. And I was coaching. So I was like, this may not be bad. So went and talked with my advisor. At the time, I was still doing my prereq. So I just, I had to come up with a decision on what major I wanted to do, and I was sold on being a coach. So I did that, and like I said, it still was in the back of my head, like I want to coach, I want to coach. So I always followed basketball. I was always going to high school games throughout my college experience, college games, just staying around the game, just for the love. And at the time, I ended up getting a job back at Walmart when I went off to college. So when I went back to Walmart, I was working at Walmart, attending school, and trying to make time for my daughter. And during this time, I stayed with Walmart throughout my whole entire college career. And when I got ready to graduate, I had made my way up to a CSM, which is a customer service manager. And you have to go in steps. So I started as a cart pusher in high school, but then when I got a job back, I ended up being a sales associate. So I was just kind of helping out on the floor. Well, the job that I had at the time, they went away with that job, and I either had to go to Cap 1, Cap 2, or become a cashier. So the Cap 1 and Cap 2 had set hours, and it just didn't align with what I was trying to do. So I decided to become a cashier. And when I became a cashier, I enjoyed it. I was able to communicate with people, something I enjoy doing. And from that point, I was asked by my supervisor at the time. Her name is Allison Lee. I love her to death. She's played a big part in who I am today. But she just was like, would you be willing to go to the service desk to help out? And I was like, I guess. I mean, I don't know how to deal with those customers that's going to be coming up there, but I'll do it for you. So, and this is around November, December-ish. Well, in 2014, they were doing the Black Friday with the layaway, and you had a lot of different options. So now I get over there, and I'm known as the runner. So the runner is the person that goes back and forth to the storage and get items from outside. So it's cold every night, and customers coming in wanting to buy their stuff out of layaway and all these different things. So I complained. I was like, it's too cold. I don't like the cold, but it paid off. So after that, it was around January, probably end of December, January, and she was like, "Hey, what do you think about working in the money center?" And I'm like, I don't know. That's dealing with a lot of money. And I was like, I don't know. She was like, oh, you'll do fine. She said, I'll show you the ropes. I'll make sure you're good. So, okay, cool. I decided to take the role, and I moved to the money center. Well, my first experience in the money center by myself, I had a customer come in, and once again, I explained I like to have conversation with my customers. So she's talking to me, and she's wanting to load money on her card. Well, she loaded money on her card. I'm talking to her. She put the real 100 on the top and the real 100 on the bottom. And she had two fake ones in the middle. So she loaded $400. I allowed it to happen. And as she was leaving, I felt it. And I was like, wait a minute, something's not right. So I quickly got with a supervisor like, hey, something's not right. So they checked the money. Obviously, it wasn't real. So she got me my first time. And I was like torn. I was like, I don't want to do this no more. I'm dealing with somebody else's money. So this is just not the road for me. So they talked with me and taught me how to check money. I explained to them I didn't like to hold it up in the air because it'll make a person just uncomfortable. And they taught me how to check money by just rubbing my finger across the crease and, things like that. So it was a great experience. And after that, I did great. I did everything I was told to do. And just one day around February, March, once again, this same supervisor called me to the back of the registers and was like, hey, what do you think about being a CSM? And I'm like, oh, no. I was like, I'm not doing it. These cashiers, they disrespectful. I can't do it. She was like, you'll be fine. I got you. And I'm like, Allison, this is not for me. So she was like, okay, well, we're going to take the test tomorrow anyway. And if you pass it, we'll start you training on Sunday. I was like, but I said I didn't want to do it. She was like, you'll be good. So I took the test the next day. I passed it. And I started training with one of the more seasoned supervisors at the time. She showed me everything. And I did CSM for probably about 6 to 8 months, and I did great. Like I enjoyed it. I met a lot of people. I learned how to be firm. I learned how to just, hey, no is no, or hey, if you can't do what I asked of you, we're gonna go ahead and have to take you in the office and write you up or whatever it was. And my hardest part on that was when I had to tell someone that was older, and me being the person that I am, very respectful, especially to my elders. Like I just try to do the right thing when it comes to them. So had a cashier She's set in her ways. She never wanted to go to break early. She wanted to go at the time that she go to break. So this particular day, hey, you got to go to break early. No, I'm not. And I'm like, well, if you don't want to go, then, I'm going to have to write you up. And she didn't give me any other lip. She just was like, okay, cool, turned the light off and went to break. And from that moment, I was like, if I can get this lady to change her ways and do the things I asked of, I can get anybody to do it. Like I said, it was challenges as a CSM. I had some very upset customers, but all in all, it taught me a lot. And in 2015, no, correction, 2016, it was around October maybe. I knew I wanted to get into assistant manager role, and I had been asked before Octoberish, and I was like, well, I want to finish my degree. I graduated in December, and I was like, I don't want to take any assistant role before I graduate college. And they were like, okay, cool, we'll see what's available then. Well, I was in Little Rock, and they wanted me to stay in that market, but I also want to get back here, this area, because I want to be around my daughter. And in my mind, I was like, I want to go to Jonesboro store. That way I'm not in Osceola and I can still be close to my daughter. So when it came time to it around October, the only availability they had was Osceola and Blavel. And when I spoke with the hiring manager, it was like, which one do you prefer? And I was like, well, Osceola's home. Blavel is okay. It's not too far from home, but if I'm going to take on my first experience in assistant manager role, why not do it where I started my career with Walmart? And that was in Osceola. So November, I had my interview in November, went well. She wanted me as one of her assistant managers in Osceola store, and I graduated in December, and I started my job as an assistant manager in January of 2017.
So learning the different roles, mentorship, and how to guide people, and one of the big ones is trying to get people to do the things that you ask of them. Not that you just tell them, but get to do things that you ask of them. How did that carry into coaching?
So coaching, once again, it was something that I really wanted to do. But it was like Walmart was calling. I had this opportunity to be assistant manager, making the most money I've ever made in my life. And one day, so I started in January, and around about April, I had a teacher come into Walmart looking to speak with a manager. And, they called over the walkies and they was like, hey, we're looking for a manager to come. We had a teacher that wanted to speak with a manager. So when I get up there, I'm like, hey, I'm Tevin Orr. And she explained, hey, we're looking for a teacher. Well, we're looking for an assistant or a manager of some sort to come and speak with our students. And I was like, well, I'm from Osceola. That's something that I'll probably be interested in. And she was like, okay, cool. When it'll be a good time for you? And I was like, well, I'm off tomorrow. How about tomorrow? And she was like, that's perfect. So I went to the school, and when I walked in the classroom, I saw like so many familiar faces in the kids, whether it was family, whether it was kids that I've just seen passing through, or whatever the case may be. And I got up there, I started to explain who I was, trying to tell them my story, how I ended up at Walmart, and all of those different things. And I could just see the looks on the faces like they didn't think they could get out of here. And I was like, hey, this is where I need to be. So I prayed on it. I prayed a lot. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to make this transition. So I just started making calls. I called the superintendent at the time, like, hey, do you got any openings coming up? And that was like, well, are you licensed to teach? And at the time I hadn't took my practice exam. I hadn't gotten no teacher program to help me out to get that done. So I was like, nah, but whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it. So I'm at Walmart making the most money I've ever made. And I'm also about to take a pay cut to go into education. And I'm also going to be teaching unlicensed, so my job is not promised. So once again, this is calling for me to make a very hard decision. And I'm like, I got to do what's best for me. And like I said, Walmart was great to me. I learned a lot while being at Walmart, but I also knew what I really, really wanted to do. So the transition, it was hard, but what really helped me with that transition, I explained that I tore my ACL playing intramural. Well, I didn't have surgery. They told me that it would heal on its own due to it being a partial tear. So on one of my off days, I ended up going to the gym, playing with a few of the students from around and some of the guys that live here in Osceola. Before we could even get started, I jumped up to get a rebound, and as soon as I came down, it just popped on me. And once again, it swelled up, but this time it swelled up instantly. So I knew it was something very, very extremely bad. So on that next day, I couldn't go to work. During this time, it's also inventory time at Walmart, and with me being an assistant, that's the time of the year. If anybody knows, anybody ever been into Walmart or any retail sales, like when you get into inventory, you got to be on your P's and Q's. You're going to have a lot of sleepless nights and things of that nature. Well, my knee is torn, so I really can't work. And during that time, it was very hard because I couldn't do as I really wanted to. My knee wouldn't give me the opportunity to do what I needed to do. So ended up having to have knee surgery. And when I had knee surgery, it just kind of showed me a lot about everything about life. I couldn't do for myself. So now I'm having to depend on someone. And that was the first thing that was hard for me. But not only that, it was the calls I received from the education field of people that knew I was pursuing to be a teacher. I received a lot of love from them. They called, they checked on me, they brought me things by, just to make sure I was okay. And they didn't have to do those things. But with that being said, they did that. I received love from Walmart, but I received more love from the education field. And that kind of helped me make my decision on transitioning from Walmart to education. It wasn't the things that they brought to me, but they showed the love, and it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. My first year, I volunteered coach. I ended up taking a role at the community center as an OPAR coach. And I also was helping with the junior high team as just a volunteer coach. So I ended up taking the role at the community center with some fifth and sixth grade kids. And that same summer, I was rewarded the seventh grade head coaching job. So those same sixth graders that I had, I started an AAU team with a guy in Osceola that same summer. And I had those sixth grade kids played that summer. We did pretty well. That transitioned to school ball. So we kept the flow going. And that was my first year of actually being on the coaching staff. We went undefeated. We got the behavior down. We had maybe about 30 to 40 write-ups that year compared to the year before. We had over 200 write-ups. Yes, and we had a team GPA of a 3.0. It was definitely a challenge to make the transition, but when I got in there, I already had the mindset working as a CSM, telling adults to do it, and they were able to do it. I knew I could get kids to buy into what I was planning on doing with them. So it was definitely a transition, but I enjoyed it.
That is awesome. That's a hard goal to have too, is a 3.0 across the board with the kids.
Yeah,
dude.
it was definitely challenging, but we made it happen.
And when they have people like you that are like not, I don't like the term down their throats, because you're just trying to preach good. Like you want to be a better, you gotta study, you gotta learn. If you don't study, you won't be able to get your grades up. If you don't get your grades up, you won't be able to get a scholarship. Like you're integrating these little factors that they gotta have later on, not just a need right then. And I love that. That is amazing. I didn't know that about OCO. That's solid.
Yeah.
Was that the year that? When was that? What year was that?
That was 2019.
Right when COVID and stuff was going on.
Right before the year before. Yeah.
So with you being around the kids and giving them just a positive outlook on life, a positive influence that a lot of people need, why does mentoring matter so deeply to you?
Mentoring is like everything to me. I know me at my age now, I have multiple mentors, and that's the best thing for life, especially when you got guys that have done what you're trying to do, or, if you're choosing the wrong path, they can always give you advice to choose the right path. However, you still have your own mind and you still have to do what's best for you at that time. But when you got people that are positive influence in your life, that's everything. So for me with mentoring, I just know growing up being in Osceola, yes, I saw a lot of different things in Osceola growing up, but there was not too many guys, older guys that knew me that if they saw me in the wrong place, they saw me doing the wrong thing, they wouldn't either smack me up upside the back of my head, or they wouldn't take me to where I was supposed to be, or call someone and let them know that I'm not where I was supposed to be. So I just always took that and I was like, okay, this helped me out a lot. And now I'm going to be someone, instead of the one talking about what kids are doing, saying, oh, they hard headed, or oh, they can't do this, or they ain't going to change. Like, I want to be the one to step in there and actually show them that it's possible. So I never wanted to get in there just for the fame of being a coach or being a teacher. I just wanted to kind of get in there and let them know, like, it's possible. I grew up in the same neighborhoods you all grew up in. I've walked these same streets. I don't show or act to be perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I've done a lot of these bonehead decisions you guys have made. But all in all, I got myself together, and I made decisions based on what was best for me. A lot of times we get caught up in doing things that we've seen our parents do, or our big cousins or our uncles do, and we decide to take on that same pattern or those same roles and not break cycles. And I'm like, I know it can be done because I did it. And I made no excuses about it. When times got hard, I would, shed a few tears, call on God, and just ask Him, to guide me throughout any situation that it may be. And not one time I've been let down, and I just feel like when you got people that actually care as a mentor, you'll see the difference in your life, especially if you make this decision to do the right thing.
So with you going through coaching and with you going through the teaching, with you going through management, all these different roles where you've had to work yourself up to, not a place that you got to start in and become strictly a coach the first day you stepped in, or become a manager the first day you stepped in. You had to grow into these places. How has that helped you become the man that you are today?
Well, the man that I am today, as we all can say, I'm not exactly where I would like to be, but I can also say that I am definitely ahead of schedule of being a 33-year-old man. I just feel like for me, parenting is the biggest thing for me. Like, I enjoy being a dad, and I enjoy it because I try and be as honest with my kids. Even though I have a 4-year old, I always speak honesty into my kids. Even like, for instance, if I get a call about something that I know my child have done at home, and the teacher say he's done it at school, it's not that I'm taking my child's side or anything of that nature, but I let my teachers know, hey, I know my child. I know that's what they did, so I'm accepting of it, or whatever the case may be. But like I said, the man that I am, I'm very respectful when it comes to women. I know how hard it is for women. They take a lot, and us as men, I just feel like we have to do a better job of helping them to be better women, because growing up, I just watched all of the men that were in my life, and they all were headstrong men, or they did certain things to take care of their kids. Like I witnessed a lot. Like I saw a lot of great things. I saw some things that I probably shouldn't have seen, but all in all, I always saw great men. Whatever they decided to do in life, like I always surrounded myself with great men. My great granddaddy, Vollie Harris, like he taught me a lot. He taught me a lot, and I'm 33. In my 33 years of age that he was here on Earth, he was blind, and he was still able to give me a lot about life, whether it was just in conversation. He actually taught me how to drive. Like he gave me my first opportunity to drive, um, being legally blind. So saying all that to say, like I learned a lot from that guy right there. He showed me a lot. He showed me how it was done, and he showed me how to love on your family. Like he always put family first. A lot of times he probably shouldn't have put family first, but he always put family first. So for me, as a man, I'm big on integrity. I'm big on protecting my family. I'm big on being a dad. I'm just big on consistency. Just a lot of different things that I'm big on. A lot of people wouldn't understand because sometimes people get caught up in, oh, I'm just going to accept it for what it is in life. And that's not the case, because everybody have a tomorrow. And if you decide to live with what happened yesterday, tomorrow going to be the same. But if you got in your head, okay, I got another day, or I get another opportunity, or I may not have done it right this time, but I'm gonna get another chance tomorrow. And if you have that mindset, everything will go as planned. Um, as I speak with my best friend all the time, I tell him, you can do anything in this life if you're consistent. So as a man, I'm consistent with being who I am. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but I'm a great man, and I'm consistent with everything I do.
So, Mr. Orr, we've heard a lot about your story. Why do you coach? Why do you coach? What is the thing that keeps you striving every day to want to help these kids in the environment that you grew up in?
So coaching, I really wanted to do it after I had the opportunity to do it in college with my friends, but coaching. So growing up, I've always loved basketball. Like basketball have been everything to me. Grew up a Kobe fan. When I really started to love basketball, he was winning championships. Osceola winning championships. So it was like that was everything to me. I used to, when I was probably about third, fourth grade, we would have a game against rivalries such as Rivercrest and EPC, Blauville. So if you knew back then, you had to be at the game around 4 o'clock just to get in the door, or they were going to put tape on the door and you couldn't see anything. So I would get off the bus, go home, put on my best outfit ever, and I'm trying to find a way to the game like a week or two before the game just so I could be there by 4 o'clock. So I just always had a passion for just being around basketball, whether it was at a Pee Wee basketball game or NBA basketball game. But for me, as far as coaching, um, I just know that with coaching, you get an opportunity to mentor. And a lot of times, the best athlete probably is the one you need to mentor the most. But I also have learned in my tenure of coaching that you can't coach every kid the same. So everyone is going to be totally different. You got to love on them different. You got to let them know you're going to be hard on them. But at the end of the day, you got to explain why you being the way you are. If you see the potential in them, you got to let them know. Sometimes you got some that constantly get in trouble at school where, hey, come hang out with me. Let's see what the real problem is. And you have to just dig deep and try and figure out what's the real problem. Because X's and O's basketball, that's easy. Like basketball is easy. If you playing basketball, obviously you love playing basketball because nobody's gonna pull your arm and say, "Hey, you better get out here and play basketball." This is something you really gotta enjoy doing. If you enjoy it, that part is easy. The hard part is when you're not winning, what are you doing? Like, are you down? Are you trying to get your team rallied? Like, hey, It's okay. We'll get them next time or whatever the case may be. But mainly, I enjoy coaching because it allowed me to mentor young men outside of basketball. We get to have those conversations and all of those different things. I'll tell you about a situation with myself. So, 10th grade year, I had the opportunity of trying out for the senior high basketball team. And I didn't make the varsity team my 10th grade year, but I was on the team. I was on JV roster. So I continued to show up to practice. I continued to try hard, do whatever it took to get my opportunity on the varsity team. Now I'm playing with class of 2009. So Osceola class of 2009 was loaded, and it was a lot of talent on that team. And I just wanted to be in a uniform just to be around the guys. Like, I just enjoyed the camaraderie. So coming into my junior year, I was like, okay, I've been around. I know the program. I know the plays. Now I'm going to get my opportunity to actually at least get on the court. So that summer, we had summer camps, and I didn't get the opportunity to play. I worked hard, I did everything, and I didn't get the opportunity to play. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see what happens the next day. Next day come, I didn't get the opportunity to play. So now I'm kind of getting a little upset. I'm getting frustrated because I'm missing work. I'm taking off work at Walmart where I could be making money instead of being here just to be on the bench again for my junior year. So um, I let it play out for the rest of the summer, and I just decided I'm just gonna focus on my job and make more money, instead of just, being on the bench. Now, at the time, I felt like it was a good decision, but at the age I am now, I look back on it, you don't get that opportunity again. So I wish I would have stuck it out, because that leads to my senior year. Senior year, I went out and played football, and then once I come in from football, we have a tryout, and I try out. I'm not doing too bad, but I'm in football shape, so I'm tiring out easy and things of that nature. Well, we come in for picture day for the newspaper, and coach was like, "Hey, come here for a second." And I went over there, and he was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know before you get in there, you don't have a uniform yet." So I was like, "Okay." He was like, "Yeah, you're gonna, have to put in a little more work because right now you don't have a uniform." So that right there, like I said, at the time, I'm talking to a 17, 18-year-old kid. My nerves are shot. I'm embarrassed. My pride is in the way. So I'm like, oh no, I'm done. I said I can go work. If I'm gonna be doing this, I'm done. So I decided to walk away. Now, I had friends on the team that was like, man, stick around, man, just stick it out. And I was like, I can't do it. Like, it's just not in me. Like, I just can't do it. It just ain't gonna work for me. So I decided to walk away. And like I said, I supported them. I was at majority of all their games and, right there in the stands. But that right there really, really crushed me. So leading to me getting into coaching, I think I create the best relationship with the guys that don't get in the game because I'm like, I've been you before. I've had the talent. I was good enough to play, but sometimes, you can't play everybody. And coaches have the guys that they trust in those positions. And, if you're not one of the guys they can trust, then it's going to be hard to put you out there on the court. So, I talk about what's your plans after high school. Are you going to go into the manual field? Are you going to college, armed forces? Like, what's the plan? So, my goal is to just help those guys find a transition in life outside of X's and O's because that's not always going to be there. Even for the superstars on the team, there's an ending, especially if people know who they want or people know who they can trust. So, um, like I said, coaching is everything to me because of the mentoring and because I get to allow the kids to know the real me. I don't try and get in there and I was this bad guy. I was good and this and that. I was good, but I know how it feels not to be that guy either. So I just kind of give them the real. And most time when you hear the real and you hearing it from someone you trust, that's everything.
What legacy are you determined to leave, not just in yourself, but in the young men who are coming up and watching you coach them, or who are getting to experience the person that you are around them? What kind of legacy are you wanting to leave for those young men?
The legacy that I would love to leave is you can do whatever you want in this life if you lead with God and you're consistent while doing it. And I say that because it's been a lot of times where I just wanted to throw in the towel. Just remembering days of being a young teenage kid where I've thrown in the towel. But at the same time, it's like I learned from those mistakes. And if I would have at least had a person within myself to be there and be like, hey, stick it out. It's going to be okay, or whatever the case may be, it would have played a big part in that. And, a lot of times growing up, I also used that to tell God what I want, or I would just ask why, things like that. And once again, as I got older, I stopped asking why and I stopped telling God what I needed. So, instead, I would just ask God what He needed from me. And, I would just continue to pray and accept life for what it is. As far as like, if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. And if it's not meant to happen, it's not going to happen. So, I just mainly having God first and just being consistent at what you're doing, and it all pay off. My legacy, I didn't plan none of this that I've created. I didn't tell myself I was going to be in Osceola as a coach. I didn't say I was going to come back and be a two-time state champion. I just told God that I wanted whatever He had in place for me. I want to do that, and I want to be consistent while doing it.
The testimony.
So what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Testimony Podcast. So it was a very powerful testimony. It's a different take on things, and it's something that we're trying to open eyes to, is that if you need a role model, if you need somebody to look up to, it doesn't have to be the people directly around you. It could be the coach. It could be the teacher. Like my wife was saying earlier, it could be the substitute that just comes in one day. But it just takes that one person to say, hey, man, I count on you. I'm looking forward to seeing you grow. I'm looking forward to see the person you can be. And that's what the testimony is about. Sharing these stories, sharing hope to these people. I see somebody who's trying to grow, not just themselves, but everybody that's around them. And I would like to play a part in that. So if you're willing to donate, if you want to sponsor an upcoming episode, the next sponsor for the next episode, the donation will go towards this donation. But any donations for this episode go strictly to the Osceola basketball team. That's just something I know they have money in the school. I know they have money for it. The money may just go for a meal towards a game they have the next week or something, but we want to try to help out the people who are trying to help other people grow. And that's what we see in it, man. Tevin, your testimony is amazing. The person you want to be for these people who may not have anybody in their life, that's what we love, man. It's a powerful outlook to have, not just on yourself, but a powerful outlook to want to push a positive mindset on people. Not just because you have a positive mindset, but because you want other people to see that they are somebody. So Tevin, man, reflecting on your testimony. Oh, matter of fact, before we get started, if you haven't heard the testimony and you're just catching the podcast part, if you don't mind, go ahead and introduce yourself again, man.
Hello, my name is Tevin Orr. I'm originally from Osceola, Arkansas. I'm a father of three, Harmony, Tevin Orr Jr., and Corbin Orr. I am assistant coach for the Osceola High School basketball team, and I've been coaching a total of 6 years. Had the opportunity of winning 2 state championships with Osceola, and I just enjoy my hometown. Like, there's a lot of negative things they can say about Osceola, but for me, I really enjoy it. It's just home, and like I said, everybody make me feel like it's home. So.
Man, we hear a lot about Osceola. I'm from Rivercrest, so again, you guys, they say there's hate between Rivercrest and Osceola. I love it because it's a rivalry, not in the way that most people think, where we're batting heads all the time, but like he was talking about earlier in his testimony. You come out to Mississippi County on a night that Osceola and Blytheville, or Osceola and Rivercrest, Osceola and EPC, Rivercrest and EPC, any of these teams are playing in Mississippi County. It's a big deal. It's a rivalry, not just but Rivercrest and Osceola. We're right there on top of each other. Bring Blytheville down to Osceola. The stadium's going to be packed. You bring Blytheville to Rivercrest. The stadium's going to be packed. And the parents, they love the sport around here. They love the athletics around here. And that's something that I've always got to grow up around. My granddad was a huge Colts fan. He was at every single game. But it's being able to see the parents who come in and not just be involved because their kids are involved in it, but be involved because they love the school, they love the sport, they love the people that they're around. And that's something I've always noticed from Osceola, regardless of what people say about it or how rambunctious things get. If you go to a game, if it's Blytheville and Osceola, things might get a little wild. It happens. But the way I look at it is you have these parents who are involved in the kid's life. You have these coaches, the coaches who are involved in the kid's life, and they're trying to make a difference. And that's what we see. That's what I see. That's what a lot of the other people who've taken the route into athletics have seen. And that's why a lot of people have eyes on Osceola. I don't know if you notice it or not, but like Coach Hooks, he gets a lot of eyes on him. My buddy Coach Allen, look, I'm gonna call him Little Tracy because that's what I grew up calling him. That's my boy. But it's people like that I see that are trying to make a difference in these people's lives. Man, that's what we love. And seeing Osceola with the outlook that it has, even with football. So this season started a little different. Rivercrest, they started hot. Osceola started a little slower. They made it farther in the playoffs. Came off 2 big wins. And the one thing that I feel drives the team, and I got to ask you about it. I know you're a basketball coach. I know you love basketball to the T, but I think you might be able to give a little different outlook on it too. We've seen the kids, they pray before every practice. They pray before every game. Do you think that makes a difference on the way their season ends up playing out?
Absolutely. And I can speak for myself, just coaching sports. I can tell the games that I didn't pray before the game. I just feel off, even whether we win or lose. I just kind of feel off. So leading with a prayer, that just kind of keep everybody covered and grounded. And I just know when you lead with God, whatever happened before that prayer, it can change everything. Some people may need that exact prayer to push them to their greatest heights or whatever the situation may be. But like I said, for me as a coach, I know what it does for me. So with the football team doing a prayer before and after practice, I know what it takes the team to, and it's a totally different level. And I know a lot of those kids' parents were either raised in a church or they're fully committed into churches now. So I know that a prayer changes a lot, and I'm speaking for myself, and I also know what happens out there on the football field.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's nice to be able to see that because it transitioned not just from the field but into their everyday life. If you have these role models who are out there actively trying to show that you can be a better person, whether it's just even as simple as just trying to pray before practice, you're instilling a different type of mindset of these kids, and it helps them not just grow as children, but it helps them grow later on as adults. I know for me as a kid watching these adults in front of me, and keep in mind, y'all have heard me talk about it on the past podcast, but I was an atheist all through high school. My granddad was a pastor, but I felt like I was forced into church. I had all these people doing these things around me and speaking all these prophecies on me. You're going to be somebody great one day. You're going to be a pastor. And as a kid who was just struggling to even have people around him that were nice, like I was bullied a lot as a kid. I had parents who cared. I had grandparents who cared, but all the parents and people all around, they were addicts. They wasn't out striving to make their kids better. They was barely striving to make themselves better. And, it was a hard outlook for me to see, but I had to look up to people kind of like how you were. I had to look up to those coaches. I had to look up to those parents who were just coming in and they cared about their kids. They cared about the team. Even if they wasn't a coach, they came in and they cared. And that's what I looked up to. That's what helped me become the person I am today. And, even, I'm not trying to gas you up, but even if you don't know it now, you're making an impact on these kids' lives. Not just a simple impact, but you're making a lasting impact. And even if it's as simple as just a prayer before games, does that carry on to basketball? Do y'all pray before basketball?
Absolutely.
I love that, man.
And last year, teams always have their certain prayers that they do, the normal prayers that teams do. But last year I had an opportunity with my 7th grade group. I had a player that led the prayer every game, and it was different every game. And I'm like, it would touch me because I'm like, I didn't expect that, and it would be like, hey, I need you to do that again, like, in a consistent manner. And I'm like, he may not be, the superstar on the team, but he's the superstar in his locker room because he's doing something he's great at. And I'm like, leading that prayer, man, a lot of people kind of be nervous while doing it. You got obviously your leaders that's going to be leaders and step up and do it. But this kid just kind of was like, Coach, I do it. And, he didn't get up there and say the normal prayer that teams normally do. He was actually praying for each individual, and protection and things of that nature. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But like I said, prayer is one of the biggest things for me with any game that I play. Before we play, I need to hear that prayer. And that just kind of let me know, okay, we're in good hands. Because me praying by myself or me praying alone, I mean, it does a lot of justice, because I'm obviously going to pray for everyone. But when we can hear it together and we can speak it together and we lock hands, like that let me know we going to battle together and we're going to do this together. So yes, prayer is like a very big thing in sports, especially for me.
Oh, dude, I love that. It makes the biggest difference. And do you want to say his first name? You don't have to say his name at all. I was just, because I want to give a shout out to him. So up until recently, I have struggled with praying out loud. And the fact that there's, like you said, a seventh grader willing to get up in front of the entire team, in front of the coaches and the parents that are around and still pray, that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength. And I give all props in the world to you, brother. You are amazing. Because it's a hard thing to do. I struggle with, like with us, we always said, I think it was the Lord's Prayer, or I forget which one it was. We'd pray before every game, but it seemed so common. It just seemed like it became repetitive. We would say the same prayer, and it never felt like we were actually striving to pray for what we needed done in the game. We needed protection, we needed help, we needed guidance, we needed those things, and it just felt like it became repetitive. And to have somebody who was in seventh grade willing to step up and just say a prayer in front, not just a few people, but in front of the team, and to actually try to pray the right things into their heart before a game, it makes the biggest difference. And I love that. Y'all are doing something that a lot of teams I feel like really need to pick up. I mean, it's hard to do, but because a lot of parents have different aspects on it. Like even now, I have people that question just what this is about, just because it's called the testimony. I hold a lot of weight to my faith. I know what got me through the hard times, and the reason why I strive so much to push the word, not just to push the word on people. It's not my job to preach any word to you and you listen to me. It's my job to tell you to pick up the word and you study it yourself. And that makes the biggest difference on these people, because if you got a kid that's in seventh grade willing to do that, man, his heart's already in the right place. Exactly. And as he gets older, it's just going to grow.
Exactly.
And it takes those people, kind of like how you are, man. It takes those people to make that little bit of impact on somebody's life. I don't know that kid, but you already touched me. It's just because you've done something in seventh grade that took me 28 years to get the courage to do. You're a strong young man, and I love that, man. And it takes people like Coach Orr right here just to give you that motivation. It's different. It's nice to have those people like you in their lives. Now, you were talking about coaching, and you mentioned volleys. So I've only heard the crazy stories about volleys. I've only heard the wild stories about volleys. And when we stayed on North Pearl, I got to see it live a little bit. But what was volleys like growing up for you?
So a lot go on at volleys. Obviously, it carried a bad reputation because of the bad things that happened, but all in all, it was just a place everybody could go. Even with all of the negative things, you still saw the same faces that had the negative comments to come around there as well. So growing up there, I can say it would be nights on Friday. Moms may be at work or they may be working in the club part, and probably be about 7 or 8 of us kids in my aunt's house at the time. And they would come in, get our order, whatever we wanted to eat that night. You better tell them now, and you're gonna get it. If you want a burger, a pig salad, wings, if you want all of them, you better speak up that first time, because after that, they're not coming back. They focus on business. So, but it was just it's a family thing with the club. With the kitchen part, we never went hungry. Like, obviously you can tell, have eaten Vollie's barbecue all my life. We learned a lot over there. I would see gambling. I would just see guys with a lot of money. I would see people act out of character, but I also saw a lot of great things. The business continued to go. My granddad passed away in 2023, and I think the business continued to roll until about 2020 before COVID. But it was rolling before I made it on Earth. It just been a thing, and my granddad took a lot of backlash from the club volleys, but he showed me whatever it took to keep his business rolling, whether it was his last dollar, he continued to keep his business rolling. So it taught me how to go about business. I know it's a lot of things he probably could have done differently, but he did what he could do because nobody's gonna protect your brand like you are. So even with people always having good ideas or wanting to come in and help out and do different things, he always gave people the door to come in and help make money. But all in all, when those people leave, he still had to keep the business rolling. So it showed me how to continue to thrive even when it's not the best. So.
Man. Well, if it makes you feel any better, because I grew up a little bit later, so I graduated in 14. So the way we heard about volleys was it was always live. Not none of the, I mean, we heard a little bit of the crazy, like it would be fighting and stuff, a little bit like that going on. But we always heard of it as it was the place to go. Like volleys was lit. Like it was. But that's why I love the way you answer that, because people can see all the bad. And the crazy thing is, a lot of people will see more bad than good, because people talk about the bad a lot more than they talk about the good. I've always heard Volleys, especially about Volleys food, that it was always fire. Like that was what's the go-to. Like when we stayed on North Pearl, you'd get something from Volleys, just because it was closer to us than driving uptown, but still great food. It's got that hometown feel to the food. You don't just have that McDonald's commercial burger that you're getting every day. You're getting something made with love, and that's what I saw from Volleys. So a lot of the people that have those bad stories from Volleys and stuff like that, they're going to talk about those, because that's the ones that everybody talks about. Everybody talks about the bad. But I've heard a lot of the kids that when we was growing up, they looked at Volleys like it was just a place, but it's a place that for our age group, Rivercrest and Osceola, we didn't have a lot of beef back then. We were all kind of jived together, like a lot of folks from Osceola were going to Rivercrest when I was in school. And, and the way they talked about Volleys was that it made a big impact on them, because they were seeing folks like y'all around. They were seeing these people, like even the big money folks. As a kid, it is impressionable. It's like if you see somebody pull up in a brand new Cadillac with rims and the speakers and all that, it's impressionable. Like even now, I love speakers. Like I'm gonna keep speakers in my car, even if I'm in my wife's car. She's gonna get a system in there. But that's just from the things that I got to be around that I love. So like even seeing those people with all the money and seeing the stuff like that, if you're a kid that came from nothing, you might see that and think, man, I want to have that one day. And it takes people to see like you who've grown up around that and then took that step in the right direction to try to get that, to try to do something better. Now I know you mentioned the brand, and yes, I have bought from you, so I'm a big fan. But if you don't mind, tell the people what started your brand. If they haven't heard about it already, what is Orrdinary Clothing?
Okay, so with the clothing brand, I came back in 2016 and had my 24th birthday in Osceola, and I wanted to do a barbecue here. I did it at Volley's, and I was able to do it Laker themed. So being a big Kobe fan, 24, obviously it just kind of ran together. So I had a lady to do me some shirts with using the Lakers photo, or a font rather, and it just had my Kobe year, and it had the number 24, and on the back it had Orr and the number 24 bigger. And I thought it was pretty cool, especially to come up with the ideal, and it came to fruition. And I went back to her that following week, and I was like, hey, I really like the shirt, but I want to do my own clothing brand. And she was like, well, what are you thinking? And at the time, I wanted to do something called Fresh with PH instead of the F. And I was like, it's cool, but it's really not exactly what I'm looking for. So one day, I just so happened to be hanging out at my mom's house, and the word Orrdinary just popped up. And I was like, wait a minute, that's it. And I was like, well, ordinary means to be normal, not ordinary mean to be different. So I was like, okay, we can kind of make this a little cliche, and I'll put the not sign in the O to give it the not, and then I'll still use ordinary. So it'll still be ordinary. So it's a lot of times I may want to keep it simple, but I also want to kind of make it very unique in its own way. And the next day I went to work and I just sat at my desk and kind of sketched up how I wanted to write it out. And ordinary is with one R, and my last name is Orr, so I implemented another R to give it its own feel. So I created the word ordinary and drew it out, and I took it back to her, and I was like, "Hey, I want to use something like my handwriting." So she was like, "Okay, cool." She sent me a few pictures, and I was like, "That's what I want." So I did a few shirts for myself. This is like in 2018 when I first started with the name, and I did a few shirts for myself, and I wore it to a few football games, and people caught on to it like, "Hey, I like that. That's unique. That's different." And I was like, "Okay." So fast forward to 2019, around the 4th of July, I placed the order for 25 T-shirts, and I did the shirts. I posted them for the 4th of July, and obviously 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays because I get to put on fresh clothes. I get to buy the latest Jordans coming out. So I'm like, okay, why not drop on 4th of July? And I released those shirts, and they sold in 30 minutes,
Let's
25
go.
shirts. So I took the money and I went back to her and I was like, hey, I want to buy 50. And I took the money and bought the 50, got those like 2 or 3 weeks later, and I sold those shirts in 30 minutes. So the next time I took the money and I went to her and I was like, hey, I want to do long sleeves. Well, obviously long sleeves was a little bit more, so I was able to afford 80 shirts. And one of my classmates was having a pop-up event in October, and she wanted me to come and be a guest speaker at the pop-up event. And I'm like, okay, cool. So she hit me back like that same week of the pop-up event because we had already planned to just be a speaker. And she was like, hey, since you got shirts in, why don't you be a vendor? Now at this time, I've never did a pop-up event. I ain't know nothing about it. So obviously I get on the internet and what is a pop-up event and what do I do at a pop-up event? So I got a few ideas, and I took the 80 shirts to the pop-up event and I sold every t-shirt that I own.
Let's go.
So I left there without one t-shirt, and I took the money back to the lady and she was like, hey, I think you got something great. She said, you may have something bigger than you think it is. And I was like, okay. So she was like, it's not that I don't want to do it. She was like, but with your ideas, you may want to look into getting you a machine and learning as well. And we work together. And I'm like, okay. So Black Friday roll around and I purchased a cricket machine and I let it sit because in this time I'm coaching basketball and my time was limited. So I fast forward to January and I finally start making shirts that match with people's shoes and giving them a custom shirt. And it just continued to spiral from there. This is in 2020. So in 2020 during the playoffs, I was getting out of practice, going home making shirts. I was getting out of the games, making it home by 1 or 2 in the morning, going home and making t-shirts. Like it'll be days I stay up to like 3 or 4 in the morning making t-shirts just to take care of my customers and then get back and go to work at 6 in the morning, get up, go to work, go to practice if we got a game, whatever the case may be. But I was back doing the shirts again that night. So um, 2020 was the year that Osceola and Rivercrest both made it to the state championship. I was coaching for Osceola, but once again, I have a lot of love for Rivercrest kids, the fans, like all of it. And I was doing a pre-order only for the shirts for Osceola and Rivercrest. I had an Osceola colorway and I had a Rivercrest colorway. So I ended up doing those shirts and I had over like 150 people to purchase a shirt. And with us coaching, we left that Thursday So everyone had to pick up their shirt by that Wednesday, but it was only pre-order. So all the shirts was picked up by that Wednesday, and that Thursday, once we made it to Hot Springs for the game, that's when the world shut down.
Man.
And like I said, that was my biggest break on the clothing brand. They gave me the profit that I needed. Everything came up front, and I was able to take that. And after COVID hit, no one could go to the mall. No one could go anywhere. So I was getting calls. Hey, you got this, you got that, you got this, you got that. And it just continued to come, continued to be customer. So I just, like I said, I personally didn't expect that to happen. But God led it to happening, and here we are in 2025, and I'm continuing to roll with it. It obviously, it's had its hiccups. It's good, it's bad, but all in all, I've learned a lot. But I've been consistent with the business to keep it rolling.
Oh, that's awesome, man. The name itself is so unique, and that's why I feel like it's something that, like, I feel God, if you pray and you ask God to lead you in any direction that you feel led, it will happen. But for something like Orrdinary Clothing, you have a clothing brand, and it's not that you didn't mention it, but it's the fact that you know what built you as a person, and the brand is what you're building from the person you became. I didn't think it was possible for something around here, especially Osceola, especially in Mississippi County, but for somebody with just a little bit of thought that said, hey, I want to start a clothing brand. So when COVID hit, we didn't get to see the game that was probably going to be the biggest game for the past 20 years.
Absolutely.
So Rivercrest and Osceola is a big rivalry,
Yes.
and that hurt to not be able to watch that game. We was all planning around it, and then y'all was in Hot Springs when they shut everything down.
Yes.
I didn't know y'all made the trip already. We
Yes,
was at
there.
work, and we were getting ready to plan the trip to go down to Hot Springs to watch the game. COVID happened. Everything shuts down.
Everything.
And y'all were lucky enough. I think they gave y'all both the state championship for that.
Yes. So they split the championship. Now there's a lot of turmoil about that. Obviously, Rivercrest did beat us 3 times that year, and we beat them once that year. But we're talking about championship on the line. We're talking about nobody wants to lose, and I'm going to be biased and say I know we were going to win the game, but that's something that I think it should be a 30 for 30 on Osceola and Rivercrest, the game that never happened, because like I said, so many people were planning to come to the game. Like, I know that probably would have been one of the biggest games that Hot Springs ever had to have in that stadium. And I know for a fact Osceola was going to be a state championship. So I'm appreciative for us to both get the state championship opportunity, but it's all fun and games. Like I said, Rivercrest was pretty good that year. They had a lot of talent that year, and I think we did as well. So, no matter how it would have shaped, I love all of those kids, and, I would have enjoyed the moment. But like I said, we both were blessed with the opportunity to become co-champions, and now I'm on my second state championship in Osceola after this season. So, yeah.
Oh, dude, I love it. I feel like y'all should, I don't know how old some of the kids are now. Y'all might be working full time, but I still think y'all should go ahead and play that game. Whether y'all meet up at OPAR, link up and play. Like, gosh, man, I wish. That's what I was hoping. I was like, man, maybe even though the world shut down, they'll meet up at OPAR. We'll just knock the game out.
I don't know. I don't know.
It would have been, but you're right though. It would have been the most packed game Hot Springs would have
yeah.
seen. There was, we have rivalries here in the county, but Osceola and Rivercrest is a game that if they're playing, it don't matter if you're in Blytheville, Gosnell, if you're in the south end of the county down in Frenchman, you're gonna come watch this game. And it hurt not to get to see that because COVID shut everything down, and that was going to be an awesome game. And we were really hoping that they would somehow play, and I'm right there with you on that. So I don't believe anything that happens during the season should count for the championship. I love the fact that Rivercrest won 3 games in Osceola. That means nothing when it comes to the championship game because they both played the playoffs. You play throughout the playoffs to get to the championship. You don't play the entire season to get to the championship. That's what the playoffs are for. See, the season's to get to the playoffs. Playoffs to get to the championship. And if you can win enough games to make it to the championship, people will say they don't know who's going to win, but I always feel like the person that's going to win is that underdog, the person that's got that on their back. They got to make it to the championship. They got to win, especially when you've been down 3 games to win like that throughout the season. That's just a little more motivation. I want to put that last win on them. So I love Rivercrest. I really think Osceola might have had it that year. So I'm going to have to, I don't care. I really deal believe in the underdog, and Osceola had a lot of heart going into that season. And it was wild to see. It was wild to not see the game because, man, that would have been the game of the century. It was going to be awesome.
And like I said, Rivercrest and Osceola, that would have been the biggest game. But I can say this, throughout the state tournament, we were cheering for them and they were cheering for us. So obviously a lot of people take it and run with it like the kids are close friends. Like they all hang out after basketball and things, especially like in today's game. Like a lot of them play summer ball together and they're best friends. Like they're like very close. But during the game, hey, it's you against me. Like ain't nothing personal, but we gotta go at it. And after the game, we gonna hug. Whether you mad about the losing or not, we'll get over it and we'll be friends afterwards. So I enjoy the rivalry, man. I don't like to coach the rivalry games because I'm always cheering for both kids, even though I wear the purple and gold, but I'm always cheering for both. Like if one of the kids on Rivercrest do something good and I'm standing there, I'm like, hey, good drive or good move or something like that. It's never me downing them as a kid, all because they're on the opposite team. Like I want to see all of you guys do good. Whether I'm on the winning side or the losing side, I'm gonna cheer you on regardless.
Well, that's what it takes, man. It takes a good mentor like that.
Absolutely.
You got to be that person in their life, man. And like I said, you never know who's watching. It could be that kid on the court. It could be his little brother in the stands, seeing his brother look up to somebody who's never seen his brother look up to somebody like that for. And that's that's what I like about this. It's not just about coaching. It's not just about just being there for an individual kid. You're doing what you do because you love the game. You love helping out. You want to be the person in somebody's life, but you also want to be the person that kind of direct these kids to be that person in somebody else's life. And that's the big difference. That's the one, if you grow up without a little bit of guidance and you do things on your own, even without the faith, if you just go through life and you go through it with just your own perspective, my own opinion, my own way of wanting to do things, it gets me nowhere. And it's the same thing for a lot of the kids that come out without having a little bit of guidance or somebody they can look up to. Is like, I went through so long of my life just trying to find a job to sustain and stay complacent. If they could pay my bills, then I'm good. But I never looked at getting a job and trying to become a manager. Like even with Walmart. Walmart has the biggest and best platform to step up and grow in. I've watched people, like you said, start pushing carts and you end up in management. There's not a lot of places where you can do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, even at the mill. Now, Mississippi County, if you haven't heard about it yet, we are the biggest steel producing county in America. So we have a very affluential area that's just now starting to get integrated. So we've had a little bit of money here and there. Nucor Hickman's been around for a while. Big River is the new steel mill in the town, and they've got High Bar that's coming. And, it's those places like that they're new, so they're bringing in a bunch of money that a lot of these kids never seen, especially kids our age group. We didn't see that. So like if you worked at AG was the big money maker back then. AG, I think Denso had just got built. Denso was a good payer. Well, now everybody's parents work at the mill almost. So it's a different environment. So like even with the schools, they're bringing in so much more money, and it's different because you can have more coaches. You can have these other mentors in there. But it takes people like Coach Orr. It takes people like Coach Allen and Coach Hooks. It takes these people that are really willing to take that step and try to be a better individual, not for themselves, but for the people that are looking up to them. And, it makes a bigger difference on the kids' lives. If they don't have that, then I know with me not having that and me living in my own ways, I fell into addiction for a little bit. Like I fell into a lot of different things. And it wasn't because I wasn't looking up to these people, but it's because I wasn't listening to these people who I should have been looking up to. I had a lot of good mentors. Like even now, Coach Chipman, I make my bed every day because of something Coach Chipman told me back when I was in, I think, 3rd grade. But he said, if you make your bed every morning, you get to come home to a made bed every night. Which it just sounds base level. But when you think about it, it's a lot better to get up in the morning, regardless of what you're dealing with at home, whether your family's arguing, whether you got families who are just fighting. If you got a family, like if it's a broken household, if you get up in the morning and you come back home to a made bed, it feels like you're walking into a brand new hotel room. You get to lay down in clean sheets, and you know that what you did the day before does not mean anything towards tomorrow.
Gotcha.
And that's, it's different. So I learned that from one little conversation a coach had with us before we started PE class back when I was in 3rd grade. And that's just one thing I've carried throughout my entire life. I'm almost 30 years old, and I still get up every morning to make my bed because of something Coach Chipman told me.
Wow.
And, it's little things like that I know make a difference in these kids' lives. So like you getting out here and just telling your story, there's going to be a kid that, whether he's coaching you or whether it's just somebody that's listening in the audience, it's going to make a difference in these kids' lives. I love that, dude. Coach Orr, you are amazing.
Thank you.
So you did mention one thing, and I've got to speak up about it because it made a really, really big part into the person I grew up to be. But you coached at OPAR. You grew up around OPAR too, and you mentioned Coach McAfee. So Coach McAfee, for me, was one of my first baseball coaches. And, you know, OPAR was never known to have these astronomically great baseball teams. They were never known to have these great squads of anybody. It's just because it was the most convenient route to go and have your kids play a sport. So with us, it was the cheapest route to go to OPAR than to play travel ball, because travel ball was expensive. Travel baseball, super expensive. And, you know, going into OPAR, it's a different environment. It's like I was really good compared to other kids that were coming into OPAR because I'd played years before. But these are kids who are just now getting into sports. And when you're just now getting into a sport like that, and you have somebody like Coach McAfee who's willing to sit there and train you. I remember one practice where we were done with practice. I wanted to sit there and throw because I could not get the ball I could not throw it straight to save my life. Coach McAfee sat there and worked with me for a good hour after that just to show me, just trying to guide me and show me how to do it. And you know, OPAR played a big part in my life. Did it make that big of a difference in your life too, or was it just a place where y'all went to hang out like the gym was for us?
Well, yes, it played a big part. And I grew up over by my granddad club Vollies. It would just take a lot of my time, and I would spend a lot of time out there. So, McAfee, he was that guy that I needed the most. I had another cousin named Logan. He would make sure that I got to the gyms, and I would call his phone like a million times to come take me to the community center. Like, I know I got on his nerves by calling him, but he never told me no. He never not came and got me. And he don't know how much I appreciate him for that, because those days that he came, it helped me dodge a bullet. Not saying that it was actually a bullet, but it would have gave me more time in the streets to go pick up a bad habit or do something that I know I wasn't supposed to be doing, but that I'm at the community center, I'm playing some type of sport. And like I said, it was a plenty of times where I tell myself, I ain't playing football. If it wasn't basketball, I didn't too much care to sign up for it. But I was good at it. Like, I was like an athlete. I played basketball, football, and baseball. And I was really good in baseball until I took a blow in the eye. And that just kind of changed everything. I didn't really want to play anymore. All I focused on was basketball, basketball, basketball. So after I got hit in the eye, BJ would call, hey, you know, I signed up for baseball. What's going on? And I'm like, my mama didn't sign me up. And the whole time it's because I didn't want to sign up because of getting hit in the eye. And he was like, well, I got you on such and such team. I need you to be at practice this time. And I'm like, yes, sir. And like I said, I would still go out and play, but my focus just wasn't the same after getting hit in the eye. But with BJ, he just opened a lot of doors for me as far as just in today's time with me, with the coaching and the mentoring. Like, it was a lot of things he did for me he didn't have to do. So I'm just appreciative of it. And it's like, that's something that I just truly enjoy because he did it for me. I know he probably did it for many other kids, as you stating he did it for you. So and it don't go unnoticed on my behalf, and I'm sure it don't go unnoticed on a lot of other guys' behalf, but I just feel like that door was always open, and that door helped me stay out of a lot of different things. So yes, the community center have always been something dear to my heart. And still today, sometimes I go out there just to watch the kids play. Like, man, I remember wearing these same jerseys, running down the court, doing the same thing. Like, all of the different things I see now in the kids, I'm like, I did the same thing. And, you know, it's a joy just to be able to go out there and see that it's still rolling, 20 years after my time at the community center. So, yes.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Like, I remember even when we was kids, OPAR plays such a big deal in the kids who, I wouldn't just say lower income, because a lot of the parents that coach, they were doing pretty well off. But when we had kids come in like myself and the kids who would come play with us from Osceola, a lot of those were kids that couldn't afford to go play travel ball, and coming into a program like OPAR, whether it's soccer, basketball, football, flag football, or anything like that, they're building character. And I will say I've had more fun. I had way more fun playing baseball at OPAR, basketball at OPAR, and playing flag football at OPAR than I ever did playing in a competitive role. And it wasn't because we were all just out there not paying attention to the game and not showing a love for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
We were all out there to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't nobody out there better than anybody. We wasn't trying to be better than anybody. We were just trying to have fun. And that, OPAR, it played such a big difference in my life. Like you said, going out there and being able to just play ball, keep you away from the distraction of life, everything that's going on around you. OPAR is, it's different. So like I remember as I think a kindergartner, and it's all walks of life. Like even if you don't know how to play, I was in kindergarten playing soccer, didn't know what I was doing. I got in one time and I rolled around in the grass because the grass was super soft because they mow out there and they spray. So the grass was super soft. So my only thing that I could think of was not worried about putting a ball in a goal. I want to play in the grass. I was a kid.
Right.
And it's those memories that stick with me. And it was the coaches that came with that. They were making a difference. So same thing with you. We coach them with basketball. And you're taking a step and trying to help these kids learn themselves. So Tevin, man, OPAR made a big difference. Volley's made a big difference. Your family's made a big difference. You being around other role models who've tried to hold you accountable for everything that you do, whether it's just picking you up and taking you to the gym or just showing you that you need to have love in your life. Those little things make a big difference in your life. But what's the one thing that keeps you grounded?
What keeps me grounded the most is being a father. Like, that's my life. Like I everything can leave today, whether it's money, the clothing brand, teaching, all of it can leave, and I still be happy if I know I got my babies with me. So that's the main thing. And a lot of people that know me personally, they also know I'm a mama's boy. So my mom is also someone that keeps me grounded. It's a lot of times now I have to kind of keep her in line. But all in all, like my kids, my mom, I obviously my great aunts and uncles and my brothers and sisters, like why it's a lot of people that just kind of help me stay grounded, but most importantly, my kids is like everything to me. I sometimes I feel like I'm overprotective. Like I don't want them to fall. I don't want them to break a fingernail. It's just like I try and do everything to just keep them happy, but they're kids, so a lot of things I'm not gonna agree with them doing, and then I have to explain why I'm not okay with them doing it. But yes, they keep me grounded because I know it's a tomorrow, and I just want to be able to take them into tomorrow with me. And when I say a tomorrow, I can lose everything, but if I got a tomorrow, my kids are gonna be there with me on this journey tomorrow. So if I'm grounded, they're with me, I'm okay. So that's the whole grounded thing. Like they keep me at ease. Like they keep me mellow. I have to have patience with them. It's a lot of times they make me mad, and I may just kind of walk off and blow off the steam because I'm like, we don't want to do things out of anger. They do something wrong. I don't want to have to corporal punish them all because of them breaking the lamp. Like I may yell, but then I come back and apologize or offer them a drink or something, as far as like maybe give them something that I like prime. Like I don't normally buy prime, but if I yell at them, we're gonna talk about it. Hey, let's have a prime or something like that. Or
That's them whenever you get on to them and like that what you said stuck with them, but they're hurting about it. So you come back in there an hour later, like stick your head in the door, like, you want something to eat?
Yeah, there you go. So
testing the waters.
Yeah, that's it. Like I'm always, hey, where them shoes that you was looking for? And what's crazy is my mom would do the same thing. Like she'll get on to us, and it'd be something that I need to hear. Like she get on about cleaning my room or doing something I didn't have no business doing, and then she'll come back and you hungry or what shoes you was looking at or something like that. And it's like now I see myself doing a lot of those same things, but I just try and do it to be more consistent with the not being aggressive, but making sure they understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be mean, but I also want you to understand this is just how life works. So if I don't teach you this now, then I'm gonna send you out into the real world and you don't understand. So
Exactly.
if I don't do my part in house, you won't know how I feel to be when you out the house. So I just focus on making sure that I'm consistent with being the disciplined parent and not the friend parent. So they know I love them. They know I'm tough, but all in all, they know it's true love.
So Tevin, man, you talked a lot about everything, but the one thing I want the kids to take away, is the impact, not just from your testimony, not just from your story, not just from the podcast section, but from your words. What's the one thing you want the next generation, not just the kids you're coaching, but the next generation of young adults, young men, young women coming up that are going to listen to this? What's the one thing you want them to take away from your testimony?
So the main thing for me, and it may be a two answer, but the first thing I would say is, well, obviously you have to keep God first, but in the process of keeping God first, never forget where you come from. A lot of things that I've seen or experienced, I don't never forget what happened in those moments, and I never forget where I come from. A lot of times people make it to certain points in life and they forget where they come from. They try and down the people that may be where they were once before. But for me, I never forget where I come from. My roots are embedded in me. But also never forget what you love to do as a kid. Like, as I stated, I love clothes and shoes to this day, and I also love basketball to this day. And for my career, I'm a mentor, but I'm also a basketball coach, and I also have my own clothing brand. So I'm living out my childhood memories through my adult life, and I never forgot where I came from. Now, obviously, it may take me a longer process to get to the millions or whatever, but hey, that's not being wealthy, as you stated earlier. Wealth is when you're at peace and you're doing things you enjoy doing instead of doing it for what comes with it, which is the financial part of everybody's job seemingly. But I can say coaching and selling clothes, those are also two things I would be willing to do for free. So if I'm willing to do it for free, then I know I truly have a love for it. So
Oh, that's why I wanted you to come on the podcast and share, man. Because there's a ton of different outlets you could have. I could ask tons of other coaches, but it's the reason behind me wanting to ask, and that with you it was different. So like you've got a brand, you have money, you have ways that you could be doing other things. You could just take the brand and run with it and just
mhm.
strictly just follow that path. But you choose to mentor to these kids' lives. You choose to make a difference in these kids' life. You choose to want to be that role model that they can look up to. And society needs that, man. They need more of you. They need more people like you. More people willing to do the things that you're doing, man. It's a blessing to them.
And actually, in 2021, I took some time off from education and I focused on the brand, just trying to learn things that I didn't know. I was a trailblazer, so I had to learn a lot on my own. Took a lot of losses, just kind of taking chances and learning different things. May have spent tons of money on items where they come in too small, and I got to figure out a way to get these sold because I'm not getting my money back because it's something that I've already purchased. But yes, in 2021, I took some time off, and what led to that was I was overwhelmed with coaching, obviously COVID, and just a lot going on in 2021 where I just felt like I needed a break from it. I was taking a leap of faith with the clothing brand. Just, I was doing well financially with that. So I was like, I'll be able to still take on my bills and take care of my kids. So I was like, I'm gonna just take some time off. So I didn't even speak on 2021. I had the opportunity of Rick Ross wearing my clothing brand as well. So that really kind of led to me making the decision. Yes. So in January of 2021, I had spoke with a guy that had sent clothing to Rick Ross in 2021. And I just asked him like, hey, how did you get this to Rick Ross? And he explained to me, told me what to do. And I took his advice and I sent out a via message, and the guy that I sent it to sent me over the sizes. Now, what's crazy was I sold out of the sizes that they needed. I had one of the guys' size, but I didn't have Rick Ross size. So I had a younger cousin that had purchased an outfit from me. And I was like, hey, I said, I have another color, but I need you to change this outfit out for me, or I can give you your money back, or whatever it takes for me to
I
get
need that
this.
size.
Yes, I was like, I'll give you your money back and I'll give you another outfit in a different color. So he was like, oh, it's cool, just change the pants out. So he changed the pants out because normally I sell it size on size. Well, they needed a bigger top and a smaller bottom, and he had that smaller bottom. So I changed them out. And I even know Rick Ross' birthday now. It's January the 28th. So I sent it out that week before his birthday, and I continued to watch his page on Instagram because he would get all of the small brands and post it all over his Instagram. So I watched it, and when it was supposed to arrive, he was out of the country with his kids. So he didn't post it, but when he got back that following week, he posted it. But when I sent it to him, I also sent the letter, like letting them know my brand and, whatever the case may be. And he posted it on his page. He posted the whole entire floor. And then the next snap he posted, it had just my clothing with the letter on top of it. So I was appreciative of it. I'm like, man, hey, this is big. Like for him to even post it on his page, I was like, hey, I'm appreciative of it. So I left it at that. This was in January, going into February. I think this was like January the 30th he posted it. So fast forward to April the 5th. I was getting up for work. I normally get up around 5 in the morning, and I got up for work, and I had a cousin that was in Atlanta that weekend, and he was like, man, Rick Ross got your brand on in the club. And I was like, stop playing. And he was like, I'm serious, he in VIP, but if I get close enough, I'll send you a picture. So I left, we were Snapchatting, and I left there and went to Instagram. And when I went to Instagram, I saw Rick Ross in my clothing brand, and it was like, I just broke out in tears. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I said, but God, whatever you're trying to tell me, I'm listening. And it went viral. That was my first real viral moment. He wore my clothing brand, and it just kind of went crazy. Now, at the time, I wasn't in a position where I had a lot of on hands. Like I wasn't prepared. As I stated, I was already sold out of the ones that I had to send him, and I wasn't prepared. So that kind of helped make the decision of I got to step away because I was overwhelmed with trying to teach, trying to sell clothes, trying to parent, and I had started dating at the time. So it was just a lot on my plate. And I sat down with my assistant principal at the time, and she was just like, hey, she said, I know it's going to be tough, but you got to make a decision. She was like, you got your babies, you got teaching, and with teaching, you want to coach. So in order to coach, you got to teach. And she was like, and you got your clothing brand. She said, you got 3 to 4 things going on. She said, you got to let something go. And she was like, I know your babies, you ain't letting that go. She was like, so it's either going to be teaching for now or the clothing brand. And she was like, you were blessed with the clothing brand, so I don't see you turning that off either. She was like, but that's a decision, you're going to have to make. It's going to be hard, but you got to make it. And I ended up praying on it, and I emailed my superintendent at the time and told him that I was looking to resign, and I explained why, and which I had already had a conversation that it was a possibility that I was. And I told him, and I took that leap of faith. And like I said, it was tough because I enjoyed mentoring. I enjoyed coaching. but I had to give up something in order to get where I was trying to go. And I did that for 2 years. And I ran into my sixth grade principal when I was in grade school at a awards assembly in Marion. And she was just like, "What are you doing in today's time?" And I was like, "Nothing, just selling clothes and, parenting." And she was like, "Well, you should get back in education." I was like, nah, I'm gonna take a break for right now. She was like, "I understand, but they need you. I think you'll do, whatever." And I was like, "Let me think on it. Let me pray about it." And she was like, "Well, I'm gonna reach back out if I really need you, but yeah, really think about it." So I was like, "All right, cool." So I left it alone. This was in September of 2022. And she called me in November. And she was like, "Hey, I know we talked and you told me you didn't think you would want to do it." She was like, "But I got a guy that's leaving after this month, well, after December, and we need to fill this role. And if you want to do it for just a semester, you can get back out of it. It's fine." And I was like, "Let me pray about it." I was like, "But right now, I don't think that's for me." So I prayed on it, and I was like, sometimes people need you and we don't understand the calling. But for her to run into me and then call me, I was like, this may be God just telling me, he need me back in education. So at the time, business had started to decline. I was still trying to keep it rolling. It was just a lot going on at the time when she did reach out to me. So once again, after I prayed, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it." So I texted her and I asked her about it. I put the application in. They called me that Monday. I went to the interview, and the interview went great. Great interview. And the principal of the school, she said she was gonna call me by that Wednesday, that following Wednesday, and she hadn't called. So I was like, "Well, I guess it didn't go as great as I thought it did." So I called her, and I was like, "Hey, I just want to see how my interview went, and if there's an opportunity." And she was like, "Well, we went with someone that was already certified in math." And I was like, "Well, hey, that's fine. And she was like, wait. She said, "But I do have another role for you." She was like, "Because the interview went so well, we had to figure out a way to keep you in the system." And I was like, "Okay." So she explained the role to me, and it was in SPED, which was inclusion. Well, when my principal from the sixth grade asked me in August about the job, I had told her, I was like, "I ain't trying to do SPED. I
Man,
don't
that's
think
a
I
hard
want to do
job.
that." But when I text her after talking to the principal at the school, she was like telling me what's the role of inclusion. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna accept the role and I'm gonna step out there and take that leap of faith." And when I say January the 2nd of 2023, I enjoyed SPED. I enjoyed inclusion. I mean, everything about it was excellent to me. I was working with kids that needed more mentoring, but the biggest thing was I was afraid to get back in education because I always said if I'm gonna be in education, I gotta coach. Well, in this situation, I wasn't able to coach. I was able to focus on the kids. I was able to focus on education, and I did that. And when I say I enjoyed it, I worked with K through 6 this time, so just the kids coming up and hugging you, like kindergarten kids, sixth grade kids, like just loving on you, and I'm like, "Oh, this is actually not bad. Like, I really enjoy it." Like, these kids, not only do they come and hug on you, but they make you feel loved, they make you feel appreciated. And I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I got out of it and now I'm smiling about it. I never went to work unhappy. I always was excited about going. Like, everything about it was excellent. So that's what kind of led me back into education. And I thought I wanted out full time, but it was like, nope, I got something I need you to do. So I ended up doing that 2023 for a semester, and then I did the year of 2024 for a full year. But I wanted to coach again. So at the time, Marion just didn't have any opportunities available. And
Did you ever coach Marion at all?
I did elementary ball. I did volunteer work as I did for the community center,
Nice.
and I enjoyed it. I really did. But not only did I enjoy it, the coaches that were at Marion at the time saw me coaching, and they was like, "I think he's a pretty good coach." So the opportunity was going to present itself eventually, but I wasn't being patient. So, and that's why I live by the quote, well, the Bible verse, Psalms 46:10, and that's to be still and know that I'm God. So I use that a lot with just my everyday life. But in that moment, in 2024, after the school year, I signed my contract to go back to Marion, and I had a conversation with one of my friends, and they were like, "Yeah, such and such is leaving Osceola School District," and I was like, "Really?" So I made a call to the AD, which is Coach Hooks in 2024, and I'm like, "Hey, I was just trying to see if y'all had an opportunity available," and he said, "Well, I thought you were, pretty good in Marion. I thought you was gonna stay there." And I was like, "Well, I've moved back to Osceola, so it may be meant for me to be back home." And he was like, "Well, if you're interested in the opportunity, you know, it's time." And I was like, wow. And to come back home, and but before I was able to take that role, I called the coach at the time, which is still a head coach, and Coach Bazemore. I was a coach under Coach Wilson. I was an assistant for Wilson when I was here the first time, and I reached out to Coach Bazemore because I'm like, I know I've been here. I know the kids love who I am, but I want you to tell me that you want me to be a part of your coaching staff. I was like, it would mean more to me to know you want me to be a part of your staff more so than me just taking a job. So I spoke with him. We spoke for probably about an hour or two. And he was like, "Man, I've heard a lot of great things about you. And I would love for you to be on my staff." And we talked, and when I say that's one of my closest guys that I talk to every single day now, and he teaches me and Coach Tracy everything we need to know to be a head coach. Like I'm destined to be a head coach now, and I can say with the help of Coach Wilson, Coach Robinson, he was a guy that was here when I was here as well, and Coach Bazemore, and obviously I got coaches that I've coached with in the summer, and Coach Al in West Memphis. But it's a ton of coaches that I've worked with. But those guys that I'm naming off, they've helped me a lot. Like just to be prepared, how to prepare, how to be a leader, how to keep my composure, even when there's moments where I want to just explode. Like just, hey, you're a coach, you got eyes on you, be a leader. So, man, I can't thank those guys enough. But yeah, Bazemore have really helped me out within just a year of just allowing me to be Tevin Orr instead of me having to be this person that I'm not. Like he allowed me to be me, but at the same time he hold me accountable, and he want to see me be a head coach. Like he's not keeping me as an assistant or being selfish in that manner. Like he's like, no, if I leave this job today, you gonna be ready to be the head coach. And I'm like, okay. So, if you ever come to a game, you'll see me or Coach Tracy leading one of the timeouts where he just standing back, letting us do our thing. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, you really letting me lead a high school huddle? And I'm like, hey, that right there allowed me to know that he trusts me in this small period of time. Like, he know that, okay, he know what he talking about.
It makes a
and
good
he
coaching
cares.
staff. You got somebody
Absolutely.
that's trying to watch you be. If you have 3 head coaches that are
Mm-hmm.
all part of the same staff,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of whether you have the title of head coach or not, if you
Mm-hmm.
got 3 head coaches that are in there making those steps,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, you got a team. So that's all you
Absolutely.
need.
Absolutely, man. And like I said, I always, I got coaches that coach me and, things of that nature, but just it become a brotherhood whenever obviously the players have a brotherhood, but your coaching staff, and I forgot to mention my guy Tevin Howard, like we bonded forever. Like these coaches that I've won state championships with, like there's not one of those guys I can call and they not either give me some good advice or just we speak positive and help one another. But these guys have been there and showed me a lot of different things. They may not even know they've showed me, but I'm such an observant person where I pay attention to everything. I've pulled some from every coach I've either coached with or been beside. I've pulled something from each one of them to put into my coaching philosophy. So I appreciate each and one of those guys, especially like I said, Coach Wilson, Coach Basemore, Coach Al. They all gave me great opportunities to be Tevin Orr instead of being somebody that I'm not.
Man, makes a big difference, man.
Yep.
Now, I got to say, before I ask this last question, I do want to say how much respect I have for you. Now, not just because of the little things you've done, like mentor wise, but the fact that you are willing to step into SPED. Now, a lot of parents think that if you're teaching SPED, you're just sitting there with other kids who you're not trying to help grow.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a classroom with kids who a lot of times don't even have the parents who are backing them up. Like they're sitting there dealing with things that, whether it's like CP, cerebral palsy, or just like if you're dealing with something at home, or if you're dealing with something in your life that's preventing you from being able to be in regular class and you're having to be in special education, whether it's the parents not taking enough times with the kids or little things like that, you're stepping into a role where it's a completely different environment than just being in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that willingly and to actually like being a part of SPED, that's a hard thing to do. It's a different type of heart. You got to have a different type of respect for the kids to do that, man. I love that. I got so much respect for you just because you're
And
willing to take that step.
that's another thing. Like working in SPED just showed me a different outlook on just everything when it comes to education. Like I was, happy to see a kid that probably didn't know 2 + 2 = 4, and they mastered that on my watch. I'm like, that's more than my paycheck. Like I enjoy to see the kid just master this, like, and not only master it, like enjoy me, allow me to be able to give them this platform or this opportunity to learn 2 + 2. Like, hey, I don't care what they say about you, but what I can say is, you know it now. Like, and if that's our goal that we set out for the year, we gonna make sure you got it. And when they call it out to you, what's 2 + 2? You go 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's all right to me. Like that let me know we were able to master something. Like we set out a goal, we did it, and let's move on. But those kids get overlooked so much. I got a ton of kids that may deal with autism or ADHD, like just whatever you got a 504 IEP for. Those are some of the smartest kids in the world. Like they the most loving kids. But what I can say about those kids can sense out when you really care about them. Like I was a SPED inclusion teacher, so we would basically push in the classroom and pull them out and work one-on-one with them. But we also had a self-contained room. And when I would walk the halls in the morning, I made it my business to stop by the self-contained room every single day. And sometimes I would get the kids riled up and get them playing, running around. And sometimes I would get in trouble by the teacher, and I would accept that. But I had to show them it was love.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't nothing about me coming in there and just making them act crazy. Like, no, it was to go in there to show them, hey, you got somebody that really love you and actually care about your situation. And when I go back in there the next hour, they looking for me again or they loving on me again. Like it was just like it was my everyday ritual. I went by there every single day, like to just check on those kids and to get them in an upbeat mood or whatever it took to get their energy flowing. Or if they wasn't having a good day, I would probably, hey, can I take them with me for a minute? And let's just walk down the hallway. Sometimes they just want to run,
Man.
like just want to run down the hallway and I'm okay with that. Once again, I may get a write up for allowing the kid to run down the hallway, but that kid gonna go back in class with some energy. And before I take them back in there, I'm gonna, hey, we can put an incentive on the line. If I gotta go get you some Skittles at the end of the day, I'll do that. But let's have a good day today. And I come back, if they had a good day, I have their Skittles. If not, then we're gonna hold these Skittles till tomorrow. And if they do better tomorrow, we'll have the Skittles for them. But yes, like the love is just through and through. And they so intelligent, like they know the work. A lot of them are very smart, but they can't help the situation that they were brought into this world with. And in opinion, I feel like we all may deal with a little autism or ADHD, something, but we haven't been notified or we haven't been tested or anything like that. But all in all, those kids are some of the most loved kids by myself. I can't speak for everybody, but that's another thing that I feel like I could do for free. Work with kids with a disability, any type of disability. I would do that for free because that's where my heart is. Like it's something I truly love and enjoy and something I feel like God put on me to do in this life that I live in.
I love that. Like, and you, I ain't gonna say you wouldn't know, but a lot of people wouldn't know if I didn't say it. I actually never told a lot of people this anyways. Until second grade, I was actually in special ed. I was in resource, what we called it back then, but I was in special ed. And it wasn't because I had any disabilities or mental deficits. I was set in a scenario where my parents were addicts and they wouldn't help me grow as a child. So when I came into the classroom, I didn't know how to write, didn't know how to hold a pencil, could hardly talk. And little things like that is what, teachers see that and they, well, he needs help. So we're going to put him in either self-contained or we're going to put him in special ed. So I was in special ed until second grade until they taught us how to write in cursive. I loved the way cursive looked. It was gorgeous. I could put all my letters together. I learned how to write through writing cursive. But until then, nobody had cared enough to sit down with me and just try to teach me. And, that's why I'm so glad you brought up Mr. McAfee. His wife taught at the school, and she was one of the ones who actually got me out of resource whenever she saw that I could write and saw that I didn't know how to write in cursive. And it wasn't just about not knowing how to do it. I just never had anybody really sit down with me and try to show me and direct me. That's all it took. And with her doing that, it changed my whole outlook. So even with you doing that with special ed and going in and just trying to make a difference in these kids' lives, man, you don't know how much of an impact it makes because you're probably, I don't want to say you're probably the only person making a difference because I don't know these kids, but you could be the only person making a difference in their kids' lives. So if you just take them out in that hallway, like you're saying, and just let them run, man, that might have been the most fun they've had in 3 weeks. Like it's,
and even as an adult, like once they getting ready to transition to the real world, that's something that I've been looking into, something that I may even look forward to doing my own little program someday. But just kind of helping them when they transition from the K through 12 into real world, because a lot of times once they graduate high school, they become lost. Nobody sees them again. And that's because either they get in trouble and the society is going to either, if they commit a crime, they're going to jail. Like they're going to face the same consequences, or their parents keep them in the house and nobody sees them unless they, run into them in a store. Something that I personally would enjoy is to just help them transition to the real world, find jobs that accept them for who they are, find opportunities to do things they enjoy doing. Like, let's just say that we get a kid that's a sped kid that can't do a lot of different things and they want to play sports outside of K through 12. Why is there not anything for these type of kids to do in like a intramural type league? Like, let's just focus it on them. And when I feel like, once again, now we're talking about love, something they have passion, because autism, those type of kids love what they love. So if they like a book, they're gonna have multiple of that book. And then so if they like to read or they like to make anything, let's find a avenue where we can make these kids feel like they're somebody, which they are, and not only just watch what they do wrong or what they can't do. Well, now he can't work here because he can't read or he can't count. Like, let's find an avenue where we can find a way for them to get opportunities like a normal individual. And that would make me feel better than anything, just to kind of see these kids still live a life outside of K through 12.
Man, that might be God put it on your heart to be your next endeavor, man. I'll be honest, that's a fantastic idea because we don't have anything like that around here. I mean, we have the
And it's
teams.
probably in the cities. I'm sure they got opportunities in the city, but this being a small rural area, like, I'm sure we can find some type of way, or something that'll help these kids. And and that calls for someone to be able to build a relationship, and these parents to be able to trust somebody, because they know their child deal with their situations, and they already don't trust many people around them, because a lot of things they can't do as a normal person would. So, or they may not understand it as anybody the other person would. So, got to find some way to get them all on one accord. Let's work together and let's create these plans to help these kids or these young adults step into the real world and actually have a real life outside of, okay, well, we done graduated, what's next? Like, we got to get past that point.
Man.
And I know they offer it in the schools, like the exit plans and creating something where the parents can work with them. But I want to be that person that work with them if they don't have a plan, or if you have a plan, what can we do to exceed from where you already are, and what steps can we take to get you where you really, really want to be? Because as I stated, you can do anything you put your mind to if you're consistent. So if we're consistent with the parents, we're following up with the parents, and we're doing what we need to do as far as a program, it's gonna align the parents to come together with us, and we do this together. So I just enjoy it, man. I really just enjoy it. But what really bothers me is when I see a kid that may have been a sped student in jail for something they've done. And I'm not saying that they don't know right from wrong, but what I'm saying is there's got to be a way to eliminate that, because if we've held their hand all through school, and now they're in the real world where some parents haven't spent much time with their kids, because a lot of times the kids are at school Monday through Friday for 8 hours, and then they go home. Their parents probably at work, and they probably just see them go to bed and see them in the morning or on the weekends. Now, when you happen to see this kid every day, all throughout the day, you got to figure out a plan where they could be doing something through the day. And you don't want to just send them to no school just to kind of babysit an adult, because those people know they're grown. So they're going to make grown folks decisions, and it may not align with what the school want from them. But if we teach them how to truly transition into the real world, I think a lot of them will do great. That's just something that I personally would like to do long term. That's something that I think I will do once I kind of get life kind of figured out where I want. I'm not a perfect guy, but I'm a great person, and I want to do great things for people that get overlooked. I want to help those that I know nobody else sees. Like, when I feel like you being overlooked, I want to be that guy that show you that you more than what people think of you.
Ted, man, you are awesome. I don't want to gas you up too much because your story, it kind of speaks for itself, but just being humble, so humble. I mean, you have your own brand, and you didn't mention it till the end. And I honestly, had I not asked about a few of the things, I don't even think you would mention it. And it's just because of the person that you really are. I mean, you're trying to be that person in these kids' life. You're trying to be the mentor, the positive influence, the role model. And it's amazing, man. you know, and even if you do take that endeavor later on in your life, and if you're able to be that, just whether it's the route that somebody's like the stopping point, whether it's like a bus stop, they come to you first, and you can kind of guide them into this, like whether
Mm-hmm.
they go to if they want to do Special Olympics or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, there's routes, and you already have the thought. You already have the thought. God's already put it on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a matter of taking those steps to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and you've already got the right mind for it. You've got
Right.
the right the positive outlook on life for it, and you got the want to. That's what a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't have to do a lot of this stuff is the want to. You've got
Mm-hmm.
the want to and the drive, and it changes the way people look at not just people like you, but people in general. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if coming into this, had I never met you at all, never met you before, never talked to you, we've talked a little bit here and there, but I've never actually sat down and got to hear your story.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew all this about you before I even got to see you. Not word for word, but I knew you was a good mentor, a good role model, a positive influence, just from the way you carried yourself. And, you know, and a lot of people can see that. Like somebody like me, I never got to sit down and hear your story till today,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew you were that person for those people. And that's, you know, people can see that. Other
Right.
people can see that. Parents can see that, you know, and that's the biggest difference. And, you know, the one thing we ask it on every single podcast. So before we close it out, guys, I do want to make sure that, you know, I kind of already, I feel like I know what his answer is going to be. And if there's anybody that's watching and your answer is anything other than this, I get it. Everybody has their own opinion of the way life has treated them and guided them to the person they are today. You know, I know where my faith got me, and I wouldn't be in this position I'm in without my faith. But Tevin, man, do you believe God made an impact on the person you are today and the life that you live?
God has made everything of my life and where I am today. Nothing I've done, nothing I've experienced would have been able to be done without God. I'm one of those. I personally wake up every morning about 5 o'clock in the morning, and the first thing I do is open my Bible app and I read the scripture of the day. If I don't truly get an understanding of it, I'll listen to it and allow them to help me out. And you know, even sometimes I reach out to. I got family members that are in that are pastors, and I ask them like, "Hey, can you explain this to me?" And like I said, I believe in God. I was baptized at the age of 8. I had a great grandmother that I would stay with in the summertime for 6 weeks. And when I say that woman right there she was everything. Like she read the Bible every morning. When I woke up, I smelled the coffee brewing every morning. Like, but she was so positive. Like, I never seen her upset. I never seen her have a bad day. Did she have bad days? Absolutely, we all do. But I would just see her and the way that she kind of like life just move around in life, and I'm like, she was consistent. She was humble. She was a woman for her family. She went to church every Wednesday, every Sunday. She would be there through the week helping cook in the kitchen for the homeless. Like my grandmother, her name was Margie Orr. Like she was the glue. And um, she just kind of she put that belief in me at an early age. Like she just kind of everything was led by God. Like it was certain shows I couldn't watch on TV
Yeah.
because she was like, we don't watch that here, you know. And I'm like, at the time I didn't understand, but as I got older, it made a lot of sense. And I was like, okay, this is why Grandma didn't want me watching it, or, you know, that was the only time she would actually get on to me if I had something on TV that wasn't supposed to be on there, and she would go get a fly swatter and come around the back way and give me some love taps. But like no, like I look forward to like Christmas and Thanksgiving and just all the holidays of going to her house. Like it was a consistent thing. Like she would cook the same way. She had a garden. Everything was out there. But all in all, it was all love. It was all just God led. Like everything about it was just a lot of things that I know that by her being consistent with God led her to living 80 plus years. And for me, you know, I pray that I get to see 80 plus years and get the opportunity to continue being there for my family, being there for my friends, being there for my students, and, being a helping hand for those that are trying to get to certain points in life. I'm led by God. I'm led by faith, and as I stated, the verse that I like to go by is Psalms 46:10, because a lot of times we want to do things in our own way. We want to speed the process up. We want to do everything what we think is right. But when we do it and it don't work out, we want to blame somebody, or we want to say, God let me down, or, it's just a lot of things people like to say when it don't work out that way. But when you let God handle it and you just be still and know that God is God, everything else just seem to just work itself out. It's been a plenty of times where I feel like I just messed up. It's not gonna be right. Like life is just taking me down in shackles. Like I may be down to $1 in my pocket, and I'm like, the next day I got a bill due, and boom, I got an automatic amount of money in my account where I'm able to pay this bill, and I'm like, nobody but God,
Man,
nobody but God. Like it's been a ton of situations where I know that I shouldn't have made it out of, and it was nobody but God. Like a lot of things that I've just experienced, and I'm in the worst situation at the time, but I'm God led. Like everything is God, God, God. Like I know He got me. I know He got me, and if He don't have me in that situation wasn't meant to be.
Absolutely.
So,
Tevin, man, you rock. I do want to say again, every donation that comes into this episode, anything donated during the month of December is going to the Osceola basketball team. I'm sorry, Rivercrest, I love you all, but I have a lovely mentor, a lovely. I don't want to just say coach, because you embody a lot more than that, man. You take care of these kids. You take care of the kids that are around you. Not just the kids that you say, not the ones that are your own, but the kids that you see that are on the teams, that are in the school, that are in the sped classes. You're taking care of the people that are all around you, not just the ones that are closest. That's a big part of this here, and that's partially why whenever we do things, we do it with prayer. We do it with hope that it changes somebody's life. So if you're a young individual, if you're a young man, you're looking at this and you're watching his testimony and you're just questioning the route that you should take, just find that positive role model. Find a good influence. Find somebody that's going to lead you in the direction that you know can change your life for the better. You don't have to stay complacent. You don't have to stay in that same, I don't want to say leave your county. I used to be big on trying to get out of Mississippi County, but there's so much help that needs to be done here. There's so many people that need help here. It makes no sense that if you have the routes to get these people help, if you leave. And with somebody like you who's came back to the county, you want to stay here, you want to help these kids, you're making a difference in their life, a lot bigger difference than you might know, I promise you that. You made a big difference in mine. Now, Tevin doesn't know this yet. He does know he's getting a sweater, but the sweaters that we sell also, donations go, the sweaters sold, profit from the sweaters goes towards a donation. So he does know he's getting a sweater, but you're actually picking the next design. So it's going to be either our logo or the Christmas logo, but whatever color you choose is what color the whole design is for this month. So whether it's purple and gold, if that's your case, that's perfectly fine with me. But whatever color you choose is whatever color this thing's going to be for the next month. So whatever shirts are sold, whatever shirts, hoodies, sweaters are sold, they will be in the color that Mr. Orr chooses. Man, I look up to what you do. I aspire to have something, just a little bit of what you're doing later on in my life. You are making a big difference in these kids' lives. Tevin, man, is there anything you want to tell the audience before we get out of here?
I mean, I've truly enjoyed. This is my first podcast that I've been a part of. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I really appreciate you for the opportunity. But what I want to leave with is never lose faith in whatever it is that you want to do in life. It's gonna be a plenty of times where you just feel like it's not gonna work for you. But I can tell you from my experiences that if you are consistent with who you are and you're consistent with your prayer with God, everything else will work itself out. I've literally been in so many situations where I just feel like life was at the end. There was truly no more room in this tunnel. And then I just tried it again tomorrow. And my tomorrow gave me an opportunity to believe again. Because if I would have took everything that was going on with me into tomorrow instead of leaving it in yesterday, I would really be in trouble. But just like I said, be consistent with life. Never lose faith, and everything else will work itself out. Don't allow your situation to choose the life that is already chose for you. We all have our own life. We all have our own path. But most importantly, don't let life, because life is gonna life. I hear it all the time. Life be lifing,
Man,
you know.
man.
And if you allow life to continue to life, then it's gonna continue to do that regardless. Even when you meet where you're trying to go, like when you get to that goal of life you're trying to get to, you're gonna still run into crossroads when you get there. But if you learn patience, you learn consistency, everything else will work itself out. So
Absolutely. Now, before we get, I see a bag. I don't know if it's for
Oh,
me
yeah.
or if it's. I saw you brought something. I don't want to close without you
yeah,
being
so
able to promote.
that you have a hoodie or a t-shirt for me. I have a little gift for you. Actually, it's the holiday giving season, so this is one of our new logos, and I just feel like it was best that I allow you to be one of the first ones to get an opportunity to wear it.
Tevin, dude, I thank you so much. Now let's
So,
go,
yeah,
brother.
yeah. So I appreciate
Dude, that
you,
is
man.
so dope. Tevin, man, I can't thank you enough.
All right, man. Thank you.
You are the bomb. Tevin, you are amazing.